Hey folks, your OS Reviews. You're watching our video unboxing and first impressions look at the SJCam SJ5000X Lite. This is an action camera that records up to 4K, and of course SJCam is a relatively well-known company in terms of producing low-cost alternatives to the GoPro as a pretty early kind of competitor in the action camera space. And we haven't seen too many of their products recently, but the SJ5000 is one that they are releasing through Amazon that sells for around $125, which is still, half the price of the GoPro, and it claims to have significantly improved quality compared to past attempts like the M10 Cube, which we saw again 2 years ago. So this version does have Wi-Fi, so you can use a companion app to connect it with a phone and use it as a viewfinder. Otherwise, what's unique about this, other than 4K video, is it also has gyro stabilization, so your shots should come out without too much shakiness, especially with a wide angle view. So hopefully it's going to produce some pretty good shots even without a gimbal. It has a 2-inch LCD display. The design here is fairly conservative. It's not that different from other action cameras on the market, but it works. There is a case. It comes in a number of different colors, and it is waterproof. There's a kind of certificate seal on the side. There's the app which you can download, and then on the back some basic information about the sensor, which is 12.4 megapixels. It's the Sony IMX078. Field of view is 170 degrees, and again you can take images as well, but it is a fixed focus lens as opposed to autofocus. So that's pretty much it. Packaging pretty clean. Let's take a look at what we have. Some of the things I want to point out about SJCam in general is that recently they've released a few other kind of models. The 5000X Lite actually isn't their newest per se, but it is one of their flagship models that they have. Other newer versions do have there's a 3D kind of VR ready camera that they're producing. So if you want to experiment with 360 videos, then that might be a good option to consider. But again, this is a more traditional design. So here's what it looks like. Inside we have a few compartments for accessories. In the first one we have all of the various kind of mounts, and SJCam of course gives you lots of free bundled goodies as usual. So we have all of these different types of adapters. So for instance, attaching onto a helmet, then there's kind of 3M tapes for attaching it and gluing it on. There's a micro USB cable for charging. It takes roughly 2 hours to charge the battery, which is user replaceable. There are straps on here. Additional kind of caps for the lens. There's also an adapter for a tripod, so attaching it onto one for recording time-lapse videos, additional mounts for bikes, and there's even a microfiber cleaning cloth, SJCam stickers, in addition to a user manual that kind of documents more carefully how to set everything up if you are using an action camera for the very first time. Now, again, the design here is looking a little dated since, it resembles the GoPro, which came out many years ago now. And the 2-inch screen, I do wish would be touch sensitive like a lot of newer action cameras. But other than that, it still looks fairly elegant. We have some basic branding. You can see the case here gives you access to some of the controls and buttons, but they are a little bit stiff and more difficult to press. You have to exert a bit of pressure. Power key is there. There's also a shutter key on the very top. Removing it from the waterproof case, we can see that the build here is still made predominantly out of plastic. There's a protector for the lens. Let's remove that. And there's again that power key on the front, which you can tap on. Let's see if there's any juice remaining. Seems like there is a little bit. Same boot up sequence as most SJCams. There's a shutter key on the top, the side here, which gives us control for navigating the menu. Tapping on the top here starts the Wi-Fi for connecting to your phone, and then the back here just features the battery compartment. It has a nice texture which makes it a little easier to grip, and on the side there's a micro USB port for charging, a micro HDMI, and there's also a micro SD card slot for memory. There's no built-in memory, but it supports up to 128 gigabytes for memory expansion. So that's pretty much it. Very simple, traditional look. So here is the interface. We can see that the screen here looks fairly bright. It does a decent job. It's not an IPS panel, so if you tilt it significantly, colors can get faded, but it does get reasonably bright, so you can still see it when there's a bit of background light. There's a time for, amount of time that you've started recording a video. The resolution, it seems to be 1080p at default, and then looping status, microphone status, battery status, time and date information, and if we tap on, again, the Wi-Fi, that just goes into the Wi-Fi sign-in screen. There's that password that we would use to connect to a phone or a companion app. Alright, and then of course going down, I can also go through things like low light mode, gyro sensor, volume, bitrate, noise reduction for the microphones that are built on here, color, white balance, adjustments, stuff like that. So these are all kind of features that I can play around with. And then I can also, I believe, long press again here to zoom in and out. So this is one of the more unique features of the 5000X. A lot of low-cost action cameras that aren't produced by SJCam don't give you the ability to have even digital zoom, but this one you can see it goes all the way up to 8 times digital zoom, and it actually works very smoothly. So it's nice to kind of have the ability at least to kind of zoom in closer to your subject. Be sure to check back for our full review that has more test performance and analysis on the shots. But for now, this has been our unboxing impressions look at the SJCam SJ5000X 4K action camera.